2015, the firm.
How long were you secretary for Gambia Petroleum Storage Facility Company Limited before 2015?
From about 2009.
All right. Where do you live?
Koto.
Your address. Please sit down. You were summoned to produce some documents, mostly for GAM Petroleum Storage Facility Company Limited and GAM Petroleum Limited. Could you tell us the relationship or the connection between these two companies?
GAM Petroleum's Storage Facility Company Limited is a Gambian company which had as a shareholder GAM Petroleum Limited, an offshore company.
GAM Petroleum Limited is an offshore company?
Yes.
Can we have first the memorandum and articles of GAM Petroleum Storage Facility Company Limited?
Before we proceed, I'd like to say or state some observations with the permission of the Commissioner, of course.
Yes, you may proceed.
I'm grateful. Yeah. I've been summoned as the company secretary for both those companies just mentioned, but I am not the company secretary of GAM Petroleum Limited, the offshore company.
All right. Can we have the memorandum and articles for GAM Petroleum Storage Facility Company Limited?
Yes. Sorry, bear with me. I didn't know the order.
Do you need time to put your documents in order?
No, I had them with me just a second ago. I don't know if it was taken from my possession. Is there any other document apart from the memorandum and articles?
Yeah, they are listed on your summons. Resolution, the first one is the statutes that I just asked for. Yes. And the second one are the resolution of the Board of Directors and shareholders' meetings, if you have them.
Yes, so I will produce, or I can produce, the public documents as those have been filed at the company registry. I will start with the shareholders' certificates, copies of them.
Sorry, I didn't get what you said about the public registry.
Given that some documents, the documents that you are speaking of, some of them are filed in the company registry and are public documents, I'm able to produce them.
You are able to produce them?
Yes.
Yes. Can we have them?
So these are photocopies of the certificate of shares, bearing in mind that the originals are with the shareholders.
Sorry, can we, I started with statutes. You are not able to produce them.
I am. They're somewhere. One of them is here. That's the amended Memorandum on Articles of Association.
No, we would require the... Okay. You don't have the originals before they were amended?
I don't. The originals are with the clients.
The original Memorandum and Articles?
They would be with the clients or they would be at the company registry. I do not keep original documents.
Who keeps original documents? You're the secretary of the company. The secretary is supposed to keep original documents, Ms. Faraj.
I do not have original documents. The clients have it, and the company registry has a copy, and GRA has a copy.
Unfortunately, we couldn't find. That's why we resorted to the secretary of the company, because by the Companies Act, the company is supposed to keep records of these documents.
Yes, and these are the records I've kept, the copies. And if the company registry doesn't have that, I would be quite surprised. If GRA doesn't have it, I'd be quite surprised as well.
Okay. So what are you saying? What do you have?
I have a copy that was filed at the company registry with the company registry's stamp.
Yes, the memorandum, you said amended.
Yes.
Can we have the original one before it was amended? Do you have that?
I also have a copy of that one.
Yes. I'm not talking about copies of documents. I'm talking about the original document. That was when the company was incorporated, the original Memorandum and Articles. We just want to know who the shareholders were at the beginning and how that transformed.
Yes.
Yes. If you can be of assistance to us.
Original document. I've never had a possession of the original incorporated documents, as I do not even believe that I was still a junior somewhere in another chambers. I wasn't the lawyer who incorporated that company. I subsequently never obtained the original of the original statutes. Those would be with the company registry, GRA, I would assume, or the lawyer that prepared it. I was not the lawyer that prepared it.
All right, let's start with what you have. My concern is, by the Companies Act, the company is supposed to keep its statutes, its documents, its registers, and so forth. And as far as Gambia Petroleum Storage Facility Company Limited is concerned, do you know who keeps these documents that the company is supposed to keep?
I reiterate that I have in my custody certain copies of documents as far as my obligation is concerned. However, original documents ought to be with the client, the GRA, and the company registry.
The client, meaning Gambia Petroleum?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, let me just make it clear that we summoned you as the company secretary. That's an officer of Gambia Petroleum, responsible for its records. Now, we expect that if there is any record with the client, you would have obtained it. And if you don't have it, we will give you time to obtain it. Because as far as I can see, the secretary of a company would be responsible for its statutory records. So if there is any record that you think is with the client, could you kindly obtain it from the client? Because I think, subject to what Mr. Chairman says, of course, is the secretary that, if we are having difficulty with records, it's the secretary of the company that should produce those records. So for now, we will take what you have, and what we don't have, and you say is with the client, could you kindly retrieve from the client and make available to the commission? Let's start with what you have.
Can I just say that I received the summons yesterday at 2:37, and I'm appearing here today. So there wasn't any possibility of going to Mandinari or contacting clients and trying to retrieve documents.
That's fair enough. Would you need some time? If you need time, then we don't waste the commission's time. Maybe we give you time to collect all the documents that we have requested, and then you can come back. If you need time to retrieve all the documents from your client, we'll give you time so you can come back.
I have some documents here. I would rather submit the documents I have, which, again, I repeat, they are public documents. With regards to other documents, I would have also an objection to produce those documents without seeking the approval of the custodians of the documents. As company secretary, I'm sure we are all aware that our role is limited to administrative and filing annual returns, etc. But matters of minutes of meetings, although I would have copies in my possession as well as originals, they may contain some legal privileged statements that I would need to seek the clients or the owners of whether or not those documents can be produced or redacted.
Let's take the documents one by one. Since you choose to proceed, let's take the first one that you have.
The first set is the registered copies of the registered share certificates of Gambia Petroleum Limited, the offshore company, which was issued to all the shareholders.
Copies of what?
Share certificate of Gambia Petroleum Limited, the offshore company, which was originally issued to the shareholders.
In the list, we did not ask for share certificates. What we have is records of, what we want is records of shareholding and transfer of shares.
That's a
record. We have records of, yes?
That is a record of shareholding, as far as I can tell. What records of shareholding?
Do you have the transfer of shares?
I do not have a transfer of shares. I have a record of shareholding, as well as annual returns.
Is that the Gambia Petroleum one? Storage or Gambia Petroleum Limited?
Gambia Petroleum Limited.
Okay. Do you have the share register of Gambia Petroleum Limited?
Yes, I do have the share register in my office. However, I have brought the annual return, which also shows the records, the share structure as of today. Which would you like, the records, the register, or the annual returns?
Could you give the documents back to the witness? Could you tell us what these share certificates are?
As earlier indicated, these share certificates are the share certificates belonging to the shareholders of Gambia Petroleum Limited.
Yeah, could you tell us who the shareholders are, please? The people who are mentioned on the certificates.
Gambia National Petroleum Company, Mr. Amadou Samba, Gambia Ports Authority, Mr. Fadi Maziji, Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation, Mr. Fadi Maziji, Mr. Mohamed Bazi, and Mr. Mohamed Bazi.
And these are all the only shareholders of Gambia Petroleum Limited?
Yes.
Okay. Can you collect the documents? What else do you have? Do you have the shareholders of Gambia Petroleum Storage Facility Company Limited?
Yes. I am putting the share certificates in order. Originally, it was Mr. Bazi and Mr. Maziji, which subsequently were cancelled.
What is the difference between Gambia Petroleum Limited and Gambia Petroleum Storage Facility Company Limited?
I stated earlier, Gambia Petroleum Limited is an offshore company, and Gambia Petroleum Storage Facility Company Limited is a Gambian company.
Is Gambia Petroleum Limited still in existence?
Instructions were given by the board to have it closed. I am not the legal practitioner responsible for incorporating this company. Instructions were sent to St. Nevis. I assume they have done the necessary.
So what is the, again I ask, what is the connection between the two companies? If one is closed, one is operating, what is the connection?
Understood. So GAM Petroleum Offshore holds shares in GAM Petroleum Limited, Gambia, the Gambian company. The offshore company holds shares in the Gambian company.
If it's closed, that's what I don't understand. If you say that the offshore company is closed, how can it hold shares in the Gambian company?
We haven't gotten there. It used to be a shareholder in the Gambian company. It's no longer a shareholder in the Gambian company.
Okay, could you explain then we are just trying to understand the connection. So what is the relationship? You have given us share certificates with 5 shareholders, some of them public companies, and you say you have share certificates for GAM Petroleum Storage Facility Company Limited. Is it the same premises? Is it the same facility we are talking about?
I think maybe to understand the genesis, maybe we should start with the original memorandum and articles and take it from there.
Well, that's what we wanted, but since you don't have it, said...
I'm sorry,
yes.
I do have it. I have it in copies.
You have it?
In copy.
Yes, the copy is fine. If you have it, let's have it. We just need to understand the genesis of these two companies up to now. And we think you're the best person to explain to us. Yes.
I understand the question, but I was under the belief that you wanted an original, which I don't have. This is what I'm stating. I have a photocopy here.
Let's have the photocopy.
So the original Memorandum and Articles of Association, which is a public document filed at the company registry, is available. It was incorporated in July 2003.
Who were the shareholders?
Original shareholders were Mohammed Bazzi and Mr. Amadou Samba.
Mohammed Bazzi as to how many percent and Mr. Samba as to how many?
99% and 1% respectively.
Could you check whether the articles are also
yes, of course.
In the document? The articles are there? Mr. Samba did produce a copy, but it had no articles.
Maybe the company.
Can you collect them, please? Thank you. So if you would assist the Commission understand how the offshore company transformed, if it did, to GAM Petroleum Storage Facility Company Limited.
I should proceed now.
Yes.
Well, the documents would show that sometime in 2008-2009, the company restructured its shares and issued shareholding from GAM Petroleum Offshore. Following the divesting of shares.
Sorry?
Following the issuance of shares to the new shareholders, the company restructured and that's where GAM Petroleum Limited came about.
Okay, the GAM Petroleum Limited divested some shares and then restructured.
GAM Petroleum Storage, can I refer to it Gambian company and offshore? I think that would be easier.
Sure.
The Gambian company restructured itself, and during the restructuring stage, that's where the offshore company came about.
Okay. It's not clear to me yet, but maybe it will be clear in due course. Can we have the certificates of GAM Petroleum Storage Facility Company Limited or the register of shares, whichever you have, as secretary to the company?
The share certificates are here. Yes. As it then was in 2009. But you're missing a link there. The transfer of shares from Amadou Samba and Mohamed Bazi.
Sorry, a transfer of shares in which company?
The Gambian company.
The Gambian company, at least by the memorandum and articles I have, showed, as you said, Amadou Samba 1%, Mohamed Bazi 99%. So there was a subsequent transfer from Mohamed Bazi to Amadou. Is that what you're saying?
There was a subsequent transfer to the offshore company.
Sorry, I don't understand.
The documents will show that Mohamed Bazi and Amadou Samba transferred shares to offshore company, giving the shareholding in 2009 or thereabouts as GAM Petroleum Offshore and Premier Investment Group Offshore.
All right, let's have that document. Try to understand.
Maybe you should bring your chair and sit next to me. I don't know.
Okay, this is also a transfer from Mohamed Bazi to GAM Petroleum Limited of shares in GAM Petroleum Storage Facility Company Limited. Okay. It's not dated.
Yes, that is. Unfortunately, again, that was not during my time, and that was what was, when I was also trying to understand the share structure, that was what was provided.
All right. So these two transfers are all in relation to GAM Petroleum Storage Facility Limited. All right. What else do you have?
Is that clear now?
Well, it's not clear yet, but we'll receive your documents.
Okay.
When we review them, maybe they'll become clearer.
The company documents of GAM Petroleum Offshore.
Yeah, so far I have the share certificates in GAM Petroleum Limited, which you call GAM Petroleum Offshore, yes, that you have produced. I think the rest of the documents are for GAM Petroleum Storage Facility, yes?
The statutes.
Sorry?
The statute.
The statutes of?
Offshore company.
Okay. What does it comprise?
Records of shareholding.
Is it the memorandum and articles?
Bylaws.
Could you tell us what it comprises, please?
It records the party responsible for incorporating that company, the certificate of notary public, their apostle, which is their certificate of incorporation, the addresses of the members of the company, the director's resolution, the memorandum or the bylaws as they're referred to, showing, supporting the share certificates I just issued of all the parties, records of the certificates. And these are done offshore and are not done in the Gambia, obviously. It's not a Gambian company.
All right, let's have them. Did you mention St. Nevis, you said? At the company registry of St. Nevis?
Yes.
Let's have them. Yes, what else do you have?
So far as the records of shareholding, that's what I have. Of previous records of shareholding. And finally, the amended Memorandum and Articles of Association to show the current.
Do you have the document authorizing the closure of the offshore company?
I do not have that document. I assume that the incorporators in St. Nevis would have it. All that I was instructed was to contact them and ask them to close it.
No, by document, what I mean is the document from the board of directors or the shareholders of Gambia Petroleum Limited authorizing that maybe by resolution that the Gambia Petroleum Company Limited offshore company be closed.
Yes,
do you have any such document?
It was done in tantamount with the amending the articles, the resolutions which we will come to. All the resolutions that I have are here.
Okay, you have the resolutions of Gambia Petroleum Limited, whatever you have of the resolutions of Gambia Petroleum Limited. Let's have them.
The first resolution that I can put forward is the one that you have just requested for, which again ordered the restructuring of Gambia Petroleum Storage Company Limited, along with the amended resolution, amended memorandum and articles.
So that's a resolution of which of the companies?
Gambia Petroleum Storage Facility Company Limited.
And it's the one that said the offshore company should be closed?
As far as they're concerned, yes.
Okay. All right, let's have those resolutions. What about resolutions of the Board of Directors of Gambia Petroleum Limited? You're saying you don't have any of those? The offshore company. Do you have any resolutions of the offshore company?
No, an elderly, okay, not elderly, an older gentleman was dealing with the offshore company, whom I was in communication with. In 2015, I could not find him any longer. Emails were sent, and I don't know what happened to him.
All right, let's have. So what year was the offshore company closed?
The instructions to close the offshore company by the board was given in 2015, January.
So between the period when the government shareholders bought into Gambia Petroleum Limited and when it was closed, by the share certificates that you have shown, Social Security became a shareholder on the 2nd day of April 2009, and so did the Ports Authority, and So the JNPC, between that period and now, who kept, did you serve as secretary?
Yes, I did. The originals were with the owners.
So between the period 2009 to date, where can we find, if you didn't keep them, the records of board meetings of GAM Petroleum Limited?
The company, well, anyway, the ones we have, or the ones I have, is in connection with the shareholding. And that was what was sent to Gambia by DHL. There were no other meetings because offshore companies they're not required to hold continuous meeting. It's more of they're offshore companies, so they tend to just have meetings by the representatives in whichever country they're registered. It's not as though the shareholders and the representatives are normally the lawyers or the agents who register those offshore companies. They don't really hold, it's not a trading company.
I just want to understand this. Now, the government institutions purchased shares into what was the offshore company. Let me just ask, what did the offshore company represent? Did it have operations in the Gambia?
Of course not. No, it's a non-trading company that was merely holding shares in a Gambian company.
Okay. But as an offshore, as that company, they never met as a board or as shareholders.
No, don't confuse.
The board, let me understand.
Yeah.
Now, the offshore company, I understand, is usually incorporated through an agent, but the agent would give a power of attorney, a general power of attorney, to some person who is responsible for operating the company in whichever jurisdiction the company actually is established and operating. Now, these government institutions bought shares into GAM Petroleum Limited, which is the offshore company. I would presume that as shareholders in that company, there would be meetings somewhere. So we just need to understand. If there were no such meetings, that's fine. But we just want to confirm whether there were meetings, since you confirmed that you were the secretary.
I did not confirm I was the secretary of GAM Petroleum Limited. I indicated in the onset I was not the secretary of GAM Petroleum Limited.
Oh. I thought I just asked and you said between the period of the purchase of shares until it was disposed of, you were the secretary.
I do apologize.
All right.
I thought
okay, very well. Then if you are not the secretary, that's fine. Let's revert to GAM Petroleum Limited unless you have GAM Petroleum Storage, that's the Gambian company, unless you have any other documents relating to GAM Petroleum Limited that you could avail this commission.
The transfer of shares of GAM Petroleum Limited, but these are in original.
Okay. Could you, for the record, tell us what you have?
They're the transfer of shares of the offshore company.
Between who and who?
Mr. Maziji and Mr. Samba. Mr. Maziji and Social
What date? Could you put them in order if you would? Thank you.
The dates are in order. It's Mr. Maziji to Mr. Samba.
Sorry, the first, Mr. Mazegi to Mr. Samba?
Yes.
Then? Yes, thank you.
Mr. Maziji to Social Security.
Okay.
Mohammed Bazi to Social Security.
It's all in one paper? One share transfer?
No.
You're looking at one, okay. It's all right, let's finish.
Mr. Bazi to Gambia Ports Authority and to Gambia National Petroleum Company. And you will see in these documents who the appointed attorney is who drafted and prepared these transfers.
Okay. So these relate to the share certificates that you have handed in?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
And the resolution therein was also that these ones were to be posted or dispatched to myself, which is what took place.
There are some documents you put on the side, I think.
This one is a photocopy.
No, this, oh, okay, no, okay, right in front of you.
Summons.
It's not part of it?
No, this is summons.
Okay.
And then
yes.
the resolutions of the offshore company
Okay, to what effect?
for the transfers
All right.
and the cancellation of the original certificates.
The cancellation of?
The original certificates
All right.
owned by Mr. Bazi and Mr. Mazish.
All right. Okay,
These documents were all filed with the company registry in Gambia.
the offshore company documents you've just produced were
That-
filed with the company registry in Gambia.
Certainly, because the offshore company was a shareholder in the Gambian company and we were required to file these.
You filed it in the Gam Petroleum records.
Correct.
Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
All right. There's just one aspect I just need clarification on. Gam Petroleum Storage Facility Company Limited seems to have been incorporated since (2003). That obviously is a separate company. Are there any documents? Sorry. Is there any document to show that Gam Petroleum, the offshore company, had shares in Gam Petroleum Storage Facility Limited?
Yes, I had.
Is there any document showing that the offshore company had shares in the local company?
I submitted it. I submitted transfer of shares from Mr. Bazzi to Gam Petroleum. Although they were unsigned, I said that was what I had for my records, and I submitted share certificates.
All right. We are done with the resolutions that you have. Do you have any resolutions of Gam Petroleum Storage Facility Company Limited?
No. The offshore company?
No, the local company.
Yes, several. Several resolutions.
Meanwhile, I'll just apply to have these admitted. Mr. Chairman, may I apply to have admitted memorandum and articles of association? Let me just confirm that the articles are there again this time. Yes, memorandum and articles of association of Gam Petroleum Storage Facility Company Limited. A Gambian company. The amended memorandum and articles of association filed on the 11th of February 2015. And resolutions a resolution dated, passed on the 28th of January 2015, together with share certificates, copies of share certificates, they are all copies of course, copies of share certificates and transfer of shares documents as at 2009, 2010, okay, these are 2006. I'll just have to point out that the 2006 copies are undated, but they are signed. The year is 2006, but they are undated. Since they relate to an offshore company, I'm applying that it be admitted, at least for the purpose of giving us an understanding of the structure of the company. I also apply to have admitted documents relating to the offshore company, including its statutes and share certificates in the offshore company, including the certificates of copies of the certificates of the public shareholders and transfer of shares in the offshore company. Meanwhile, Ms. Farage, if you would compile the rest of the documents that you have as per the summons.
Yeah. Ms. Farage, we want to clarify one or two things, all right? First, we have transfer of shares. There are two documents, and you can take a look at them. Can you take?
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, I didn't get what you say.
Yes, I said there are two documents here which are presented for admission. They are not endorsed by the solicitor who was supposed to have prepared them, and they are not dated.
Yes.
So as and when, yeah.
I did draw your attention to
Yes.
that because they relate to the offshore company,
Yes.
and we have no records in the registry
Yeah.
of these documents.
Yeah.
So I would apply that they be admitted.
Well,
Because we are the ones applying to assist the Commission understand the genesis and structure of the company. We are the ones applying to have it admitted.
all right. I'm not saying they are going to be rejected.
Yes.
I'm saying an attempt must be made for the solicitor who is supposed to have prepared them to sign them.
Very
They
well.
have to be endorsed. If
Very
they are
well.
not endorsed, I suppose an explanation will be made.
Very well.
But we simply
Very well.
cannot
we'll-
accept any document that is supposed to have been signed by a solicitor. And we do not see the signature of the solicitor, especially
Very well,
when it is undated. So can you please make sure, Madam
if
Farage,
we can have, yes.
to have that done if possible? If it is not possible, you'll come again and explain why it is impossible. Secondly, sorry? You want to answer?
Yes, to help clarify what had taken place.
Very well.
Yes, so I myself had difficulties finding the share structure at the company registry. And in 2008, when the restructuring of the company took place, I did write to the registry because what the clients were saying had taken place, and this document that they had showed me, unregistered, I wanted to confirm whether this had taken place. So you're right that this is unregistered, etc. So
Sorry, I'm not talking about registration or non-registration. I say it is not.
Endorsed.
Just look at it.
Yes, I see it. It's
Yes,
endorsed.
that's what I'm talking about, endorsement.
Yes. So are you saying that by getting
The lawyer who is
prepared it.
supposed to have done that document should sign it.
That's not a problem.
That's what I'm saying.
That's not a problem.
I think that's simple enough. All right. Now, let me deal with it. Just for clarification, I think, and I stand to be corrected, you said that you are the secretary of GAM Petroleum Storage Facility Company Limited.
Yes, sir.
Well, all right. The clarification I want is, first of all, take a look at these two documents. That's the Memorandum and Articles of Association, which was this one. Yeah, well, this is 2003. Yeah, the Memorandum and Articles of Association, which were done in 2003, 9th July 2003, and the Memorandum and Articles of Association, which were done in 2015. Take a look at it. In both documents, it is stated that the secretary is Ma'am Degen.
Ma'am?
You can look at it, paragraph 8. I say it is stated there that the secretary is Ma'am Degen. Is that right?
Partially right. It's stated it's Degan Nyang.
Degan Nyang.
Yes, my.
Yes, in both of them.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you know this Degan Nyang?
No, but no, I don't know the person. The memorandum and articles done in 2003, I was not the company secretary. I stated that I became company secretary sometime in 2009 or thereabouts.
I see.
Between 2003 to 2009, I was not the company secretary, as the record
In
shows.
2009.
Or thereabouts. 2008, 2009, or thereabouts.
And when did you stop being the secretary?
In my personal capacity in 2015, and from 2015 to date, it's the law firm.
Is the
Law firm.
So it is wrong then that
No,
the
my.
secretary. Sorry.
No, it's correct. This is the memorandum and articles were produced in 2003, July 2003.
Yes, that's all right. I say put that aside. Now look at the memorandum and articles of 2015.
Yes, that one, my lord, the Honorable Commissioner, the amendment was only pursuant to the share structure.
Yes.
The resolution by the board was to amend the share structure, which is what I did. The articles and objectives were to remain the same. And you will see for the record, the 2015 articles state that the first secretary, so it's still talking about the first secretary, is Nyegan, the same person.
All right. Now the clarification I want is this, that in 2015, the secretary of the company was not Mam Degen Nyang.
In 2015.
As at 2015,
Yes.
you were the secretary, but not Mam Degen Nyang.
Yes.
Very well. That's all I wanted to know.
All right. Thank you.
copy of original memo and articles of association of GAM Petroleum Storage Facility Company Limited, dated 8th July 2003, and copy of amended memo and articles of association of GAM Petroleum Storage Facility Company Limited, dated February 2015. I say February because no day is stated. Admitted marked MS 124A. Board resolutions of GAM Petroleum Storage Facility Company Limited, dated 28th January 2015, and 2 related transfers of shares, plus 2 share certificates, admitted marked MS 124B. Three transfers of shares in GAM Petroleum Limited, Nevis, dated respectively 27th March 2009 and April 2009, no day stated. Admitted marked MS 124C. Director resolution. That's deliberate. It's only one director. Director resolution of GAM Petroleum Limited, Nevis, dated 27th March 2009, plus related share certificates, admitted marked MS 124D. Certificate of Notary Public, dated 22nd November 2005, certifying power of attorney from GAM Petroleum Limited, Nevis, to Mohammed Bazi, jointly with Fadi Mazeji, admitted marked MS 124E.
All right.
Sorry, Council. I think we'll rise for 15 minutes.
Very well, Mr. Chairman.